Okay, so yesterday we were in a place where we had a Valentine celebration. We enjoyed ourselves. A lot of people came all together, and we thank God that lives were touched and people were able to ask pertinent questions as regards relationship and marriage. And generally, we discussed issues around love affairs, homes, marriages, and challenges generally. I was the speaker, during this event in the recent time. A few of the questions that we tackled during this program, I would like to share them with you so that you can also learn one or two things. Remember that this program is an initiative of Faithland Ministry which discusses marriage as it is being lived, not marriage as it is being preached. So definitely don't just look at it from the perspective of a pastor, all right? But we are just discussing something very realistic altogether. So one of the questions that a lady asked was that, actually going out with a guy and he wants me to get pregnant for him before he could consider me for marriage, or before he could consider marrying me. And that is the condition the guy is placing the lady on, so that if she gets pregnant, then she will be able to test her fruitfulness, so to say. And I laughed when the lady asked me that question, Pastor, is this really good, or something like that? And I said that, well, my answer was very straight. And this is the fact that love is unconditional. It is something that comes out, it is something that flows freely, from both parties. So if somebody is actually placing you on a condition, if you don't get pregnant, you're not fruitful, or I'm going to test your fruitfulness based on how you get pregnant or something like that, that is actually a red flag, and that shows that that person is not going to be committed to you. He's just looking for means, to punish you, or probably to have sex with you, and you will be surprised that at the end of the day they decide not even to go ahead with that marriage. So it's very important that you consider some of these things. Don't fall for the trick. All right, S and AS issue, I believe you already know that answer. And she said that it was really God that instructed both of them to go ahead into the relationship. This was my answer. I understand that it is possible that God may ask AS and AS, to go ahead in a relationship only if they don't want to have children. All right, if they don't want to have children, if they have the plan that, okay, probably they want to dedicate their lives to ministry, or they just want to fulfill destinies, it is possible. The only place where AS plus AS could have issue is where children are involved. That is what the 50-50 or 50-60 percentage could actually come in. But if they don't want to have children, or they plan from the beginning that they want to go into adopting a baby, or they want to go into surrogacy, there is nothing bad in it if God is saying you should go ahead with your AS plus AS partner. But in a situation where both of you are expecting that you want to have children, it's very dangerous, and it could be like a game you might not be lucky winning. Is it really good that you go to a pastor and the pastor will tell you, okay, this is the person you should marry, this is the person you should marry? Because back then, people will say that go to a prophet, write name number 1 2 3 4 5, then you go to a pastor or a prophet and he will pray, and you see, all those human factors could be manipulated. In this recent time, decisions could be manipulated, and that is why the Bible says that I've placed before you life and death. He said, but I will advise you that you choose life. So the power to choose is actually with you. Make sure that you study the guy, study the lady. All right, let's work on all the red flags and see if it is something you can actually go ahead with. If you are not convinced that you want to go ahead with that person in a relationship, there is no reason God will be enforcing him or her on you. So it's very important. The decision lies in you, looking at the red flags, looking at the challenges, looking at all the parameters all around. So make sure that you study everything well before you go headlong into it. Don't you identify red flags? in relationships. And I said that, well, you can actually identify all these red flags by observing one or two things, but there is only one thing that can actually becloud your sense of reasoning, that you won't be able to understand if this marriage is good for you or if this relationship is good for you or not, and that is if you continue to have sex with that person. If you have sex with anybody, there is every possibility that you won't be able to see the flaws of that person. This is why the Bible is saying that we should abstain, we should stay away. It's not that God hates us or he doesn't want us to enjoy things. So if some of these things are happening and you continue to have intimacy altogether, you might not likely see what you need to see, and that will create problems for you. And a man who wants to be in charge of everything, whatever advice you give to him, he does not want to listen. And I said that is another red flag, because if a guy is not carrying you along in his decisions, a guy who doesn't want you to be ahead, or a guy who doesn't want you to make it in life before him, or who doesn't carry you along in any other thing, that guy is going to impede your progress in life. So it's a huge red flag, for you before going into any relationship. So it's very important. Do you have any question as regards the relationship or some other issues? Just comment section and I will be very glad to answer your question. May God continue to bless you.